Just waiting for the live stream. And the live stream has begun again. So thank you for your patience, folks. We're moving forward with reporting out from the closed session. Motion comes forward from Deputy Mayor Fody, seconded by Councillor Maybe, that Council rise and report from the closed meeting, that the mayor report the following outcomes from the closed meeting. In-camera minutes of April 13th, 2026 were adopted as circulated, and that we provided direction to staff. Any discussion on this motion, folks? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And we're carried. Next item on the agenda is the public meeting. So
You should have the two directions from closed stuff.
oh, sorry, my apologies. So the two directions that came out of closed, moved by Councillor Maybe, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fody, that council accepts the recommendations provided in Report Administration 2026-020 and delegates the authority to the clerk and the mayor to execute all documents required to enter into the settlement agreement as attached to the report with respect to the Creek Road Municipal Drains Settlement. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Next item, moved by Councillor Antoine Hartley, seconded by Councillor Maybe, that council accepts the recommendations provided in Report Administration 2026-022 and delegates the authority to the CAO and clerk to execute all documents required to enter into a settlement as attached to the report with respect to the Myers settlement. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it's carried. Now we're in the public meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fody, seconded by Councillor Maybe, that the public meeting be called to order at 6:46 p.m. All in favor? Any opposed? And it's carried. Okay, so we'll move forward with the proposed administrative amendments to the Township Official Plan and Township Zoning Bylaw number 07-079, numbers D09 2026-001 and D14 2026-007. So the public meeting preamble is this. So the purpose of the public meeting is to hear questions and comments on the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment applications. This public meeting is being held in accordance with the Planning Act. Members of the public will each have an opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes. 5 minutes per application. They are also able to provide their comments and questions in writing before or after the meeting. There will not be a decision on these applications tonight. Notice collection, personal information as defined by the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy, MFIPA, including but not limited to names, addresses, opinions, and comments, is collected under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 Planning Act and in accordance with MFIPA. All personal information may form part of the meeting agendas and the minutes, and therefore will be made available to members of the public at the meetings through requests and through the website of the Corporation of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands. Questions regarding the collection and use and disclosure of this personal information may be directed to the Township Clerk. Okay, now I've done the preamble. So we're moving forward with the first item, 8.1. So we have Lindsay or Kyle speaking to that. Lindsay. So we have Lindsay Lambert online. Go ahead, Lindsay.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. The subject of this public meeting are applications for official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. The applications are township-wide amendments initiated by the Planning and Development Department to complete technical updates to both documents. The official plan amendments propose to update some of the policy sections and definitions of the Township Official Plan for consistency with the 2024 Provincial Planning Statement and the Planning Act. The 2024 PPS came into effect in October of 2024, and the province requires that municipal OPs are consistent with the PPS. The proposed official plan amendment also includes a proposed policy change to implement the Rockport strategic plan and policy updates related to additional dwelling units. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment is also administrative in nature and includes a minor zoning change to implement the Rockport strategic plan, updates to performance standards related to semi-detached dwelling units, and updates to provisions and definitions related to additional dwelling units. The proposed amendment also seeks to implement a zone change for the property municipally known as 1354 County Road 2, which is the site of the former Ascot Elementary School. In 2007, there was a zone change for this property from institutional to highway commercial, and through an administrative oversight, this was not carried forward and incorporated into the 2007 zoning bylaw when it was enacted. In summary, the proposed amendments are administrative and technical in nature. The applications have been circulated to the required agencies and departments for review and input. The notice of public meeting for the applications was provided in accordance with the Planning Act. Staff are interested in collecting any comments or questions from members of the public, and a recommendation will be brought forward to a future meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. So I'll take comments or questions from members of council first, and then I will ask anybody in the gallery if they have any comments. Go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. There's a couple things that, as I was reading through it, I was kind of wondering what the changes actually meant, like the height and density exchange for the additional servers. Again, I can't read my own writing half the time, but that's okay. Let me go back to the actual paragraph here. Height and density exchange for facilities and services that replaces the words community benefits charges. So I was kind of going, what did that all mean?
How does that relate to one
Yeah.
another?
So if I could have an answer to that first.
Lindsay, do you want to take a stab at that?
Sure, through you, Your Worship. So there were some changes to the Planning Act that were made. Previously, under the Planning Act, municipalities had the tool of height and density bonusing. So in exchange for public facilities or different types of dedications, council could entertain increase in height and density to be approved through a zoning bylaw amendment. Those tools were replaced by community benefits charges. So it's a tool that the township could choose to enact. And so it's just simply revising that policy set to bring it in line with the current tool available through the Planning Act. And it doesn't, unless council chooses to approve a bylaw to move forward with community benefits charges, they wouldn't be in effect for the township.
Okay, I'm not really sure whether that did answer my question.
Yeah, I'll go to the acting CEO.
Thank you, through you. So density bonusing is what it was previously called. Now it's community benefits. But what it is when somebody comes in with a proposal that increases the height and density on a property significantly. So it's not something we deal with very often here. The municipality has the option to talk to them about, okay, if we support your application for increased height and density, what contribution are we going to get from you towards community benefits, such as a contribution to a community hall or other facilities or that type of thing? The policy going into the official plan is enabling policy to say, the township may choose to do this, but to do that and to give effect to that, we actually have to have a bylaw that's a community benefits bylaw that establishes the rules of the game by bylaw. So what Lindsay is explaining is that the policy in the OP is enabling policy that the province has said should be in the official plan. So we're adding that policy. It doesn't mean we're going to implement it. We would have to come forward to council with a bylaw and a program to be able to do that.
Okay, that better explains it. My next one was X1V here, which is, once I find it, which actually pertained to a tiny house or tiny home gone. It's gone to additional rural units. So does that mean tiny homes are not allowed in the township now? So
I'll go to the acting CEO.
A tiny home is just a dwelling. So
Yeah.
that's why the definition of tiny home is being removed, because it is just a small dwelling.
okay, because we had a lot of discussion on that
Yes.
previous years. So that's why I was kind of questioning it, whether it had changed its definition. And then the LI had,
What page are you looking at?
yeah, I'm just trying to find it. Sorry. Once I scan down here, LI, I believe that is page, oh, what is it? Says it's 9, I think. L-I. Deleting the word asbestos. So I was kind of questioning, it's now critical minerals are a subset of raw materials that have specific industrial, technological, and strategic applications for which there are very few substrates, which the word asbestos, being the carcinogenic that it is very dangerous. But I don't think that really captures that in that phrasing, that it's trying to capture harmful substances.
Okay, Lindsay, you want to answer that?
Sure, through your worship. That is simply just a definition update. Going through the definitions of the new provincial planning statement and updating the definitions within the township OP so that they're consistent as required by the province.
We
Okay.
didn't make the change, the province did.
Okay, the province did. Okay. That would be it for me. Thank you.
Okay, other questions in regards to this? Go ahead, Councillor Kelman.
Thank you, Worship, and through you. I just had a couple of clarification questions. The property at 1354 County Road 2, the old school, it was rezoned commercial highway. It is a private residence. So is the special exception allow for it to be a private residence?
Sorry, Lindsay?
Through your worship, the highway commercial zone does permit an accessory dwelling unit. And it's my understanding that other space within the former school is being rented out for different businesses that comply with the zone.
Okay, thank you. And I just, in the draft bylaw, Exhibit B, under Section 9, the proposed new Section 3.2 in A1, it says additional dwelling units shall be located on a lot that abuts an improved street or private right-of-way. Should that be approved street or private right-of-way? No, it's improved. Okay, I just wanted to double check. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Mr. Robertson.
One brief question around additional residential units. Are the parameters or rules that are being proposed already being operationalized, or is this something that would only come into use once these amendments were approved?
I'll go to Marnie on that one.
Thank you. Through you. If, with the changes that the province has made, if somebody in Lansdowne, because it's on water and sewer, every lot is permitted to have up to 3 dwelling units, irrespective of our zoning. So this gives effect to that.
So basically, if someone came forward, even though we haven't got this done, we would have to,
Yeah.
We would have to,
what I thought, but
do it.
thank you. Appreciate that.
we're just cleaning things up. So Councillor, maybe go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. And to that same point, Lansdowne is allowed 3. What about the other rural areas? No update to a sewer system could do that.
Go ahead.
It's only permitted in areas where there's municipal water and sanitary. So at this point, until there's other areas on full urban services, that would not be permitted.
Because right now you can have 2 dwellings
In
on
rural.
On a rural
non-serviced.
cultural lot.
Yep. Okay. Just,
But it would have to meet septic.
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions in regards to the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, I will go to the public. Does anybody from the gallery have any questions in regards to these proposed amendments? Or anyone online? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Mr. Gorell, go ahead. We just need you to unmute.
There we go.
There we
Can you
go.
hear me
Thanks.
now?
We can hear you now.
All right. I was just curious about when it says the addition recommendations of the Rockport strategic plan, the Dillon plan, which is now 6 years old. I was just wondering, before this is put into the official plan, will there be specific clauses put in? Because right now it appears to be kind of a blanket statement, and I'm quite familiar with that report. It's 71 pages with the recommendations taking up, I don't know, the last 10. And in many regards, they're rather general, but what I'm reading here is not specific enough. But perhaps in the future, there will be more specificity added. The only item I did see in the draft was an item, I don't know, 5.88 or something, and it said that developers will provide for a traffic impact study. That was the only reference that I saw to the Rockport plan of Dillon in 2020. So am I right in assuming that there would be very clear delineation in the paragraphs for any changes in the official plan? Because as we all know, it is a very specific document, and planners and developers come all the time with arguments, and it needs to be clear. So would I be wrong in assuming that?
Okay, I'll go to Lindsay. Go ahead.
Thank you, and through you. So with that plan, there were two specific land use planning recommendations that staff are proposing to move forward with through these amendments. With the official plan, it was recommended to add a policy requiring a traffic impact study for a proposed tourist commercial designation or use. And so that has been proposed within the proposed official plan amendment. And then in terms of zoning, this single recommendation from a land use planning perspective in terms of changing the documents was to amend the official plan to require that there could not be a standalone parking lot use within the tourist commercial zone, that a parking lot would have to be accessory to another permitted use within that tourist commercial zone. So it's very straightforward, simple amendments. One to the official plan to require that traffic impact study for a new tourist commercial use, and then the change to the parking lot use within the tourist commercial zone of the zoning bylaw to require that it be only accessory, permitted as an accessory use to a permitted tourist commercial use.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Gorell?
I clearly understand those two issues. However, it's still, are there other issues that are being considered? Because there were about, there was the idea of crossing the parkway. There were the issues of additional parking with the across on the north side of the parkway. There were boat ramp things those have been by and large implemented already. There was the parkette was talked about, and there were a list of the 1 to 5 year plan and then the 5 year plus plan, which was things like trying to find a new boat ramp or moving the boat ramp. So again, I'm asking, is it open-ended or is it just those exact two items that will be in addition or amended in the official plan? Again, that being a very severe document at times.
I'm going to go to the Director of Planning.
Thanks. Through you, the OP and zoning changes as referenced by Ms. Lambert are the only changes that are actual official plan and zoning bylaw amendments. The rest of them are other things or other projects, capital works and improvements that are recommended that the township undertake, but they're not implemented through official plan and zoning bylaws. So there's separate things to be considered through future community capital works.
Good. That's the way it should be. And I just wanted to be perfectly clear because it was kind of a general statement. And I just wanted to be clear. There must have been something in there that tweaked your interest. And I get it if it's about parking lots and the need for traffic studies. I get that. So that does answer my question, and I wouldn't expect to see anything additional to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the public? We don't have any other hands up. So with that, we will move forward to zoning bylaw amendment exceptions to the 30-meter setback. So I believe that is Kyle. So we just need you to unmute, Kyle, and then you can present.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. So the township has initiated a zoning bylaw amendment, which is proposed to amend section 3.32B and C in the township zoning bylaw number 07079. The effect of the application is to permit limited structures within the 30-meter water setback with a maximum combined area of 14 square meters. The proposed exception would not apply to lots fronting on Charleston and Red Horse Lake and would not permit structures containing sleeping accommodation within the setback area. Notice of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment was posted on the township website in accordance with the statutory requirements of the Planning Act. We received one written public comment regarding the proposed amendment, which requested clarification regarding what constitutes a limited structure, and also requested that consideration be given to precluding wood-burning appliances from the exceptions associated with the proposed bylaw. In terms of what constitutes a limited structure, staff would note that the type of structures which these provisions would be subject to are further clarified in the draft bylaw, which was included to the staff report as Exhibit B. The draft bylaw notes that decks, gazebos, hot tubs, or other similar structures would be exempt from the 30-meter setback, provided the structure is not attached to the principal building, does not include human habitation, and has a maximum combined total horizontal surface area, together with all other such structures located within the setback area of 14 square meters or less. Regarding the second point about precluding wood-burning appliances, the bylaw is currently in a draft stage, and that is something that staff can further consider prior to bringing forward a final recommended bylaw. Staff are interested to receive any questions or comments from members of the public, and will look to bring forward a recommendation to council at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, when you talk about the wood burning appliance, what are you actually meaning is the request there? If I could have clarification. Oh, that
It's in regards to the
this
comments that we received from the public, in regards to having like fire pits or like a wood-fired outdoor hot tub or something to that effect.
yeah, hot
So-
tub and stuff, but the fire is a separate item, I would think.
It is. So, through you, sorry.
Okay.
The open air burning bylaw regulates those types of
Yes.
things and those types of appliances. In some cases, depending on the nature of what it is, there may be the requirement for a building permit too, given the type of combustion device that's used on it. So, I don't know if under the Planning Act, that's something that we would be able to regulate, the type of fuel. It's
Mhm.
the location of the structure that we're focusing on, but that's something that we'll need to do a little bit more research on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? Go ahead, Councillor Robertson.
Thank you, and through you. Just a comment as a sitting member of the Committee of Adjustment that the genesis of this whole recommendation to council from that committee was to strike a balance between continued oversight in the from a planning perspective with the financial burden on a taxpayer who may be required to spend $1,000 to put up $1,000 shed, and in effect doubling the cost of something because of the location of it. So that sort of gives you a bit of the background on this, and I certainly thank the planning department for working to find some sort of a balance and a resolution to that concern expressed by the committee.
Any other comments from members of council? Seeing none, any members of the gallery that would like to make a comment? Anyone online that would like to make a comment? I have no hands up. So with that, we will end this public meeting, moved by Councillor Maybe, seconded by Councillor Antoine Hartley at 7:09 PM. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Moving on to briefings, we have none. Consent agenda, adoption and receipt of minutes, moved by Councillor Maybe, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fody, that the June 15th, 2026 council meeting minutes, July 26th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes be adopted as circulated, and that the May 26th, 2026 Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes be received and filed. Discussion on the minutes, any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And it is carried. Next item is staff reports, moved by Deputy Mayor Fody, seconded by Councillor Maybe, that council approve the staff reports as recommended at the July 6, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting. Discussion. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to come back to 12.1, the battery fans, because again, when I was discussing this last week, I still had, after we were done, I'm all for the fans, by the way. That isn't my question. It's basically in our budget, we had $16,000. Did that purchase the 2 fans that we currently have with the accessories?
Through you, Mayor. So the original budget was the 16,000, and the original plan was to buy 2 fans. We received some donations. So when
That poses the question. So that's why I kind of separated it that way. The 16,000 that we budgeted and approved at our budget meeting, did that purchase the 2 fans and the accessories?
that's what that budget was originally for. Well, yes, was for 2 fans and accessories.
Yeah. So what did the 16,000 donation buy?
Well, so the access, so when we could get up to 4 fans and accessories for 24. So the original budget called for that original 16,000 in capital budget was going to be funded through the equipment reserve fund. So now we can get the 4 complementary suites of fans and budgets, and that 24,000 will be funded 16 through the donations and only 8 through the reserve fund. So we saved on drawing down the reserve fund by $8,000 through the generosity of those donations.
So the approved budgeted 16,000 we didn't use for the fans.
We used it for the fans. It was originally 100% was originally going to be funded through the reserve fund.
Right.
But now since we got donations, we don't have to use the reserve fund. We can use those donations and use those reserve funds for other equipment purchases.
Okay.
And it's because when we get donations,
Yes.
it's muddying the waters.
Yep,
I get it.
yep,
And
yep.
and it seems
I've
like
muddied the waters very hard, and I have a hard time with this. And as much as I did approve it, it's still, how do you end up with 16, 16, and 8, and we're getting 4 fans? So I think the donation has muddied the waters when we approved the budget.
so essentially it's reducing our need to draw down the capital reserve
And then
Yep.
we got a better price on the fans
because we bought more.
with the 4 than we had anticipated on getting the 2. So we're not paying $8K per fan. Now we're getting 4. We're getting them at about $6,000 a fan and accessories. So we did get a better price on the.
I'll draw you a map.
So why did we not take the 8,000 out of the reserve funds as we were first proposing 16,000?
Because it's a change to the budget, which is why it has to come.
Because we're
here.
spending an extra 8,000 than you had approved, so we need permission to spend that extra 8,000 up to 24. Because we've only approved 24 or 16,000 in expenditures.
Even though we got a donation.
Yeah, I get that. We got the donation for 16,000, which we could buy. We approved 16,000, and then we had to add 8,000, but the 8,000 could have been drawn from that 16. That's what I'm kind of working it backwards, but we have passed it. It's fine. It's just, I found that maybe how it was presented to us maybe was not as clear as I thought it could be.
Any other comments in regards to any of the other staff reports? 12.1 through 12.4. Seeing none, I'll call the question on approval of the staff reports. All in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Next item is action required items, moved by Deputy Mayor Fody, seconded by Councillor Antoine Hartley, that the Committee of the Whole recommends that Council approve zoning bylaw amendment application D14 2026-002 for the property municipally known as 158 Hill Island to amend the existing environmental protection CEP zone of the waterfront area of the property to an environmental protection special exception 15 CEP-15 zone. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Council further amend bylaw number 07-079, zoning bylaw of the township, the Corporation of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands as amended as per Exhibit F, draft bylaw and Schedule C or A. Madam Clerk. We went through this last week. I just want to make sure that it's which schedule.
Should be
Schedule F should be Schedule A. Okay, so draft bylaw and Schedule A to report number 2026-013, and that the committee of the whole recommends that council grant 3 readings and final passage to the amending bylaw. Discussion on this motion. Go ahead, Mr. Robertson.
Through you, Mayor, and just a question to confirm, and I believe I read this when I was reviewing the material, but there will be nothing built on top of the sun deck, and the bylaw as written prohibits that from happening in the future.
Go ahead.
Through you, that's correct. So no gazebos or any other permanent structures.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And we're carried. Moving on to 13.2, moved by Deputy Mayor Fody, seconded by Councillor Maybe, that the Part 4 Ontario Heritage Act designation bylaws attached to the report as exhibits A, B, and C be given 3 readings. The council directs staff to serve notice of the passage of the designation bylaws in accordance with section 29(8) of the Ontario Heritage Act, and that should there be no notice of objections received by the municipal clerk of the township within 30 days of the publication of the notice of said bylaws, that council directs staff to proceed with adding the properties to the municipal heritage properties register and registering each bylaw on the title of the corresponding property. Discussion on the motion. Go ahead, Councillor Robinson.
Through you, Mayor, and again, I'm going to play the new counselor card here because I don't quite understand the heritage designation process.
It's a good question to ask.
As well as the rest of you, perhaps. But I believe I read that the owners are notified. And so we have verification that they received that notification somehow, like registered mail, or again, I'm dating myself probably with registered mail, but
No.
something of that nature. So we have that verification in place. I guess where my question comes from is I'm still struggling to understand the benefits of designating something as a heritage property, and that's for another discussion. But so I'll leave my question as it's confirmed that the owners have been notified. They've had an opportunity to reply, and everybody's in agreement with moving forward.
And this is a registered property, not a designated property. There's, I've got it backwards because there is 2 different ones. Okay.
So just for clarification, these are all owner-initiated heritage designations.
Yes.
So the owners are in full agreement with this process.
That answers my question fully. Thank you.
They
Kylie.
came to us. We did not seek them out. Any further comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Fody.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, what is an expected time frame to have this designation put on the paperwork? I'm thinking if it's a 6 months, 12 months, if one of these owners should want to sell, when would that show up?
Through you, as soon as the 30-day appeal period is up. So that would be following notification that we would send out should council support this. Once the expiry of the 30-day appeal period is over, we would provide direction to our lawyers to register it on property. The part of the reason for the timing being what it is these owners, some of them are hoping to apply for and obtain heritage celebration grants. So we're hoping that we can bring that forward to the September meeting of the Heritage Committee so that we could get this in front of council for October should there be grant applications.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Next item, moved by Councillor Kelman, seconded by Councillor Robertson, that the council supports the appointment of Ben McNeil to the Cattle Rock Waste Source Protection Committee as the municipal representative, Eastern Area. Discussion on this motion. Ms. Kelman, can you speak to this? Or I'm wondering, well, she's our representative currently on Cattle Rock Way.
No.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
wrong one. Sorry, my apologies. You can speak to it, acting CAO. You have had a long day.
Thank you, through you. Previously, it was a staff member appointed from Brockville that was the representative. It's an Eastern Area representative, so it's a broader area representative for a number of municipalities. there's a need to replace that position with another individual. So the CRCA put out a call for people interested in fulfilling this role. Mr. McNeil from Gananoque has stepped forward and said he would be interested in fulfilling the position. So we're bringing it forward for council consideration.
Does anybody have any challenges? Go ahead.
No, I wouldn't characterize it as a challenge, just, I don't know this individual, so I did a quick search and somebody else's name shows up in his job on the Town of Gananoque website, which I assume just means it needs to be updated and he's a recent appointee to his current position.
Any other comments or questions? I don't know this individual either. I couldn't. Ben McNeil is kind of a pretty widely general name, so there's lots of them. Yeah. Okay, seeing no other hands up, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Next item is 13.4, 2026 Private Road Grant Program Capital Stream. So moved by Councillor Maybe, seconded by Councillor Kelman, that council approve the distribution of $17,942.36 in private road grants capital stream as proposed in Exhibit A to Operations and Infrastructure Report 2025-038. That council approve the allocation of the remaining funds budgeted for in the 2026 private road grant capital stream to the applicants of the 2026 private road grants maintenance stream as proposed in Exhibit B to Operations and Infrastructure Report 2025-038. So the original part of this motion is for the capital stream, but obviously the second part is asking us to direct those funds to the maintenance and upkeep part as well going forward. Any comments or questions in regards to this grant? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. So the applicants, I think there was only 6 that actually applied or got a part of the grant, if I remember the number correctly. So I guess why were there not more submissions?
Just
would
depends on the
be the big.
the association.
So with that money, can it be held over for next year for more recipients or not?
Oh, we have Aaron on the line who can speak to this. Aaron, can you speak to, I just need you to unmute. Can you
Yep.
speak to why we're recommending putting it into the maintenance stream rather than carrying it over for further capital stream?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. We've never done that. I don't know. I guess I'll have to talk with Michelle on that matter if we could carry over. But as for the last year, like you said, we just carried over into the operational grants. They haven't been submitted yet and or approved, but it's something we could look into.
So maybe I'll go to the treasurer to speak to this as well.
Through you, Mayor. So currently, the way the road grants are set up, they're an annual operating budget. They do not roll over. So that is something, in speaking with the previous director, we were looking at amending through a reserve fund update that we would be able to establish a reserve fund to be able to put them in and roll forward unspent funds. But as of right now, that does not exist.
So it's not like a reserve fund or capital.
And kind of why could it not be, or maybe why shouldn't we do it?
He's
Yeah.
saying that they're
Yeah,
considering it.
because it might be a good start to it.
Well, and to be very honest, Counselor, maybe speaking for someone who's on a private lane, not on this particular capital application, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Because we had applied for it in the past, $5,000 when you're doing capital work for road work doesn't really go that far.
Mhm.
So I think that it would be very interesting if that we could look at something of that nature going forward, mainly because just for the edification of anybody might be watching, part of the reason we've instituted these grants, both for maintenance and capital, is because many of these private lanes become impassable because they have not been maintained for our first response. And that is our main concern. The other challenge is also, speaking from experience, when you're on a private lane, there is no obligation to make anybody pay. it becomes a civil matter. It's not like we can put it on taxes or
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And depending on how cooperative your neighbors are,
Yes.
it can be a challenge. So, but these are all the things that I believe that Aaron and the roads folks and finance will take a look at, and then going forward,
So-
how we might shape that program.
So can we put a hold on this money and until we come up with something or not? It's got.
I think if we do anything, it'll have to be for the 2027 budget. Correct? And a notice of motion.
Yeah, through Mayor, unless I get a specific
Direction.
direction to, the only thing I think you could provide a direction to maybe temporarily put it in the community grants reserve fund or something of that nature, but outside of a specific direction, there's no mechanism that I would, as a treasurer, would do that without that direction.
So the motion is already on the floor and you moved it.
Yeah, I know. But I'm
So-
questioning it more than anything.
Okay.
That's all it was, because some of these, a couple of the roads are getting what, $93 or $56, like, buy a new shovel maybe, but.
Yeah, the majority of them, as the mayor said, are brushing. There are some widening, which is the main issue with emergency services, that nature. And there were actually, I think there was one or two of those 6 that actually had the same situation where there were other neighboring private owners that weren't cooperating with the private lane association, and
Yeah.
they're dealing with that. But basically what they're doing is skipping those locations, but that happens quite often.
Okay.
So perhaps if you, in future, you put forward a notice of motion that we revisit the capital and maintenance stream for 2027.
Okay.
If that's agreeable. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Fody and then Councillor Kelman.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. We've allotted these monies aside. If we need to pivot and put them toward these lane associations, that can be money well spent. It isn't just our fire departments, ambulance services and such. And I think we've all had the pleasure of encountering some of these roads, and they're narrow. I mean, they're growing in at the same rate our regular roads are, the ones we do maintain. So, it's, I was on one on the weekend and I wouldn't have wanted anything bigger than a pickup truck. I know that.
Well, I was on one a week ago and there is such a crater from water making a rut in it down a hill. Like it was pretty bad. And I know that there's lots of hills like that on these cottage lanes that get like that. Some cottage lanes need to actually pave that private or that piece just so that it doesn't wash out every time they have a rain. But to the point that it's something that we need to take a look at going forward. We've only got so many dollars to spend a year. Having said that, to your point, I think our lane association for the maintenance stream gets $120 or something. It's very minor. However, I chose to live on a private lane, as did everyone else. So I don't expect, they're not public roads. So the hope is that it encourages everybody to maintain those roads as best possible. Any other comments? Oh, sorry, Councillor Kelman, my apologies.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. I was just trying to recall, did we not for 2025 reallocate some capital funds to the maintenance stream as
We did
well?
the same thing.
So we did this last year as
Yeah.
well. Thank you. And just clarification, the funds that we're now looking at allotting for the maintenance stream for round 2, is there any chance that combined with what they have already initially received for the first round in the maintenance stream, is there any chance that for some of them that are receiving a larger amount, like 3,000 plus, that it's going to exceed what they actually need for maintenance, or is there no chance of that? That this is just a fraction of what they're going to be spending?
I want to say the neighboring lane to me, not my lane, lost their contractor and were quoted $1,200 per plow.
Okay.
Last winter. Okay. It was not cheap.
Because through you, when they apply, I'm forgetting how they apply for the maintenance stream grant. They're not applying for a specific amount. We just take the total amount, divide it by number of kilometers.
There's a
and
formula.
that's right. So they're not, so it's not like they're going to get more than they applied for because
No,
they didn't apply for a
It's
specific
based,
amount.
it's based on kilometers, the number
That's
of
right.
residents and
Thank
that
you.
sort of thing.
Thank you for the clarification.
Go ahead, Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. The $32,000 that is surplus, if it's not transferred to top up the maintenance stream, where do those funds go?
Back in the general, it would be the surplus for the overall township.
So my observation would be there are a number of items on this agenda and on the previous agenda where unexpected things come up that we are coming in asking for access to additional dollars. And from a initial look at this, I see if I was running my household this way, any surplus funds I can save on one hand, if my expenses go up on the other hand, I move the money over. I don't know the financial machinations around that, but certainly those would be my comments, that if we're looking at additional expenditures unexpected in other areas, this might be an opportunity to use these funds to offset that.
So the only difference is, and this is somewhat confusing because it says capital stream. This is operational dollars, where the challenges that we're having on the other side of the budget is capital funding. So I understand the point that you're making, and it's not wrong. However, we try to keep the operation separate from the capital, other than part of our operating budget is funding capital reserves going forward. So that's how we plan. Any further comments or questions? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Next motion is in regards to 13.5, RFT OPS 2026-010, construct a clean room and mezzanine. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fody, seconded by Councillor Kelman, that council approve the budget transfer of $75,000 from the capital infrastructure contingency for the purpose of construction of a clean room and mezzanine. That council award tender OPS-2026-010, construction of a clean room and mezzanine to Ubicon Construction Limited in the amount $238,525.44, inclusive of the net HST. So motion is on the floor. Go ahead, Councillor Antoine Hartley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Let me just state first, I think this is a necessary expenditure a project that we need to move ahead with. But I have some huge concerns on the tendering amounts. The tender, the least amount of tender is actually $260,000 difference between that and the next one at $498,000, and the next one is $674,000. That's another $435,000 from the least amount. I'm having, it looks to me like they're not bidding on the same project. There's just too big of a difference. I can see a few thousand, a few tens of thousands sometimes, but having it more than double the difference between the least amount and the just concerns me. And given that we're starting out by having a shortfall and having to transfer 75,000 before we even start, I'm concerned that we are going to have a lot of cost overages.
You're questioning the low bid?
I am questioning the low bid when it's so much different than the rest. We see this happen to us all the time. There's unexpected things that come up. I would just like to have some confirmation of the quote itself as what components were put into the quote. Because as I said, we don't have a golden goose that we can just reach into the nest egg every time that we have a cost overage. And as I said, if just the fact that it's double the next one?
We've had a number of tenders, not just for your own edification. I remember there was a Capitol Road project, same thing, like some of the tenders come in, they're just wildly different. And I think I just remember a conversation very similar to this one. How do we trust the low bid? So I'm gonna go to Jonathan, who can answer that and talk about how the tender was put forward and the confidence that he and the rest of the staff might have on that.
Thank you, and through you, your worship. Yes, the numbers are varying quite a bit. The first and foremost thing is Ubcon is a local company and they're using local trades. These other companies are more Toronto based, so they have a lot more overhead in general, plus their accommodations to come here and work is one of the main driving factors. The other part was the parity of what was bid on was all spec'd by a local engineer, and there was a detailed design part of this process. So everybody bid on the exact same components, what was required of this project, which was scoped for this project. The original budget for beginning of this year was $200,000, which also included the design portion, which we approved $15,000 towards. So we really only had $185,000 for completing the physical project. So this is fairly on par with what we had budgeted for the whole scope of the project. The other portion of this $75,000 transfer includes a $25,000 contingency for the project. So we still have a buffer in what we're asking for transferred funding to be able, if there is any unseen, we do have a little bit of wiggle room there. And even more recently, I've worked with Ubcon with the HVAC system up at Sealy's Bay, and they came in as the lowest bid, and they kept their bid on par. There was no overages with that project. So
That's very reassuring.
That's reassuring that they came in on budget. That's wonderful to hear. Anyways, then that answers my question on that, because as I said, it was a concern of mine.
We also see this at the counties as well, that we see some pretty wild bids. Part of the reason that Mr. Tackerberry is often successful is because of the exact same reasons when it talks about road projects, because they're local. Their folks don't have to travel. You don't have to pay for accommodation. So they're happy when they're the lowest bid, or any other local contractor for that matter. Councillor, maybe go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Yes, Ubcon is a good contractor. I've had them on my site many times for work, and they've always held their bid. So I'm very confident in, one, the quality we're going to get. The cost that he puts out there is pretty accurate. So the one thing that I didn't see was a really good plan of it. And because when I tried to zoom it up, it just went fuzzy. So I was a little disappointed that it didn't we didn't have enough detail for my liking. So the mezzanine on the top, is it open air, the railing around it? It's not enclosed?
Through your worship, so the mezzanine will be over the back half of it, the way they've designed it. So it won't be over top of the office portion, but it will have a railing around as a safety railing. There's no walls on it.
Okay, so the office, it's not open air, is it?
The office will have a ceiling in it. It's just, it's not designed for the mezzanine on top. Just the way way the structure is laid out with the steel girders, which is fine. That gives us enough room over the back half of it.
So it's going in Station 1 to the north side against the wall, either east or west or in the center?
More to the center. So basically what we've tried to do is I want to push all the firefighters to come in the back door on the north side, or sorry, the north side.
Yes.
And then they'll enter into the enclosed room inside, and then they'll come out into, very similar to Station 2, where you come out into the center of the bay. So we're not worried about firefighters coming in the front doors and fire truck
crossing
movement
in front of the vehicles. And then in this particular design, there's no washer dryer because it's somewhere else in the building. And when they come in and get out of their equipment, where is it going?
Through your worship, so there'll be a dryer unit within because once the gear is cleaned and it's in its separate washing area, the gear will be taken and put into the clean room to get dried so that we're staying with the clean gear. But when they come back from a fire call, if the gear is soiled at all, whether it's whatever contaminant might have on it, they'll change in the truck bay. They won't be changing in the clean room.
Okay, so it stays clean and
Yeah.
then be transferred to the washer that is in the middle of the building.
The washers, actually, we've appropriated another little closet type of room, and we put the washers in there. So it's separate from that. So we've taken the older washer and put the new one in, and we've got our own little wash area now, which opened up the other area that where the old washer was. That's made it a little easier for firefighters when they come back to clean other gear on the sink and area that we have there now.
And is there a separate exhaust in that room to take the contaminants that are kind of
Yes,
traveling through?
that's why we went to this room, because it was separated.
Okay. And let's see, what else did I have here? Well, I guess the budget is also the other part of this one is all the transfers from all the different projects that are listed here, because the projects that the money's coming from haven't been started this year, or oh, sorry, next one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Wrong report. You're ahead of
I
yourself
jumped
there, sir.
ahead. Yeah.
It's okay. And go ahead, Councillor Robertson.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you.
Yes.
Again, coming in after this has already been approved in the budget, just a question and I guess a comment. My question is the legislative requirement or the regulatory requirement for a positive airflow room in fire stations?
Through your worship. So as we build or renovate fire halls, we're trying to incorporate those clean rooms in. Firefighters traditionally are 4 to 8% more likely to get cancer-related injury. So the government has been putting out money for fire department in the fire protection grants over the last 3 years. And there's another one's now online as well. So they've been giving money for for cancer prevention. So this is the kind of the other part to that is trying to keep our gear clean, because in every one of our stations, with the exception of the brand new one, it sits out in the truck room. So when you start the truck, it's getting that carbon as well. So we're just trying to reduce that risk.
Yeah, and I certainly agree with the philosophy behind that 100%. I just wondered if there was a specific piece of regulation or legislation that required that to happen, if that's.
I don't believe there's any requirement at this point, but it is best practice.
So we're being
through fire
proactive.
underwriting service or something like that. The recommendations in there.
On a fire station new build, it's regulated more. On a retrofit or whatever, there isn't a standard yet to say that, but I'm sure it'll come.
Yeah, and the other challenge is that this has been carried forward since 2024.
Well, it's good information to have. Thank you. And
Yeah.
as I said, I'm coming in the end, it was just more of a clarification because
No
it's
question is a bad one.
already been approved in the budget. My comment really is around contingency. Certainly very heartened to hear that this, sorry, I get the name right.
Ubicon.
Ubicon.
Sorry, I said Ubicon. I got a
Ubicon
new
has
name
a-
for it.
Has a history of maintaining their costs. Just wondering, or commenting, I guess, is the extra $25,000 contingency 100% necessary, or can we just come back if, heaven forbid?
If we
things
don't
went above?
use it, it comes back anyway. So I guess the problem is if we don't approve the contingency at this point, and then they do go over by $5,000, they've got to come back to council again on the
Right,
same project. So this is to do that. Go ahead,
But-
Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you. And through you, these might be expenses that have to do with like fire suppression that needs to be incorporated into the unit, or electrical costs that we may have, not the actual construction. They bid on that. There could be items that are connecting to it that we may have to adjust once we get really into it. They do have a very good detailed design for the project. I didn't share I gave you kind of the very general scope of what the layout was, but I am willing to share the detailed designs. They're just papers on papers on papers. So
My long public service tenure makes me be cautious of allocating more money than is
Than
absolutely
necessary.
necessary in the beginning. So that's where my question comes from,
That's fair.
comment comes from. Thank you.
Well, it sounds like their reputation precedes them, and if they didn't go over on our previous, we'll try to keep them to that as well, and hopefully not be needed. Any further comments in regards to this motion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? And we're carried. Is everybody okay to keep going, or do you need a break? Nobody needs a break. We'll try to power through this. Okay, so did you bring one for everyone? It was very perfect timing as you're drinking your Coke. Anyway, we have structural repairs to municipal facility unanticipated overages, moved by Deputy Mayor Fody, seconded by Councillor Kelman. That council approved the capital budget transfers of 50,000 from the Fire Station 3 Clean Room Addition Design Project, $50,000 from Fire Station 4 Apparatus Bay Alterations Project, 15,000 from the Lyndhurst Library Parquet Design Project, 35,000 from the Sealy's Bay Community Hall Water Treatment Project, and 96,000 from the Lansdowne Community Hall Gymnasium Flooring project to the Municipal Office Structural Repairs Project for the purpose of completing the required exterior wall repairs for the municipal office. And that the council directs staff to proceed with the required additional unforeseen repairs as identified by Competitive Renovations, Inc. and staff in the amount of $275,070.51, inclusive of net HST. That the additional unforeseen repairs be the sole source to Competitive Renovations due to their ongoing involvement in this project and their contractual obligation for work previously awarded. Up for discussion. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. The gift that keeps on giving, this building. It goes back to what Councillor Jameson said one time. Is there any more skeletons yet to be found? This building is full of them. It's like full of mold and who knows what else. It's disappointing. It's the biggest boondoggle this township has ever built, and hopefully never repeated. The joys of doing a building and doing it right the first time. Having said that, in reading this, I have a real problem with holding all these other organizations and buildings hostage to pay for this one. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're trying to rob Peter to pay Paul here, and taking money from the fire hall and from Lyndhurst Library and so on and so forth, because we're doing just that. We're not moving forward with those projects either. On the bigger scheme of things, yeah, it's $275,000. But come budget time, $275,000 won't look near as big. So I'm wondering, is there any appetite to borrow this money on a short-term loan for 1 year, incorporate it in next year's budget and pay it off?
So I'm going to go to the acting CAO because there's some rationale as to why these are taken from other projects.
Thank you. Through you, in looking at this, we've been going through the capital budget for this year before we were even looking at what happened with this building. And the items that are identified were items that we have identified that weren't going to proceed this year or weren't likely going to proceed this year, which is why instead of suggesting borrowing or pulling from a reserve fund, we thought that it made sense to bring forward this item and reallocate. In terms of just for example, the Lansdowne Community Hall flooring, we're having our building condition assessments done right now. So we want to wait till that process is complete before the floor was only slated to be replaced because it was flagged in the asset management plan. It's not that it's actually at the end of its life. It's a time to look at it and see. So these projects were ones that we didn't feel were going to impact where we were going from a capital perspective, and that it made more sense to reallocate the funds at this point in time. And then I would defer to Jonathan if there's anything additional to add to that.
Thank you, and through you, that's exactly what was had happened. These were all kind of put on the shelf in late spring at the latest here. The only one that we were still looking at proceeding with was the clean room design for Station 3. And in conjunction with speaking and planning with the chief, we decided that's not an urgent thing that we could actually put that off until further 2027 or when required. But all these projects were slated to be paused before this came to light within the last few weeks, and without having to go into more borrowing or shifting. We found this funding within. So
Does that satisfy your question, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, it does. But at the same vein, the other question I had this, if I may, the second portion, this company bid and proposed an RFP of 69,000. Now we're looking at 275. I assume with all the competence we have in our building inspectors that somebody on our staff has been walked through this step by step to verify that what's being said is actually there.
I can assure you that our building inspectors have been very vigilant in watching what's going on and been out there with the contractor looking at what's been uncovered.
Okay. Thank you.
I have Councillor Robertson and then Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. I would share the sentiments expressed by Deputy Mayor Fody as a newer observer of the processes here and the building, and actually by no means am I a building inspector, but did a visual inspection myself on the way in here today. And it's astounding, really, is the only word I can think of, to be honest. I do have significant concern around sole sourcing just in general as a concept. And I point to the huge discrepancy in the item we just reviewed in the submissions and the bids. And so I would encourage us to not consider sole sourcing and to look at a competitive bid process of some sort, whether it's by invitation or by our RFT or whatever the case may be. But as a matter of principle, I think sole sourcing is beneficial in very specialized areas, but I don't see this as one of those.
Okay. So I'll go to Jonathan, who can respond to rationale as to why sole sourcing is being suggested.
Thank you, and through you. So the process that took place to begin with this tender process is there was a detailed design that was provided. It was awarded, I don't remember what the original cost, we'll call it $70,000 for the original scope of the project. The original scope of the project included known 40% of underneath windows required replacement of structure that was rotted or compromised. In the finalization of materials last fall, it was discovered that the original spec by the original engineer, the original spec siding product, was not going to meet the building code for a commercial application. It was a residential product. So the project had to be bumped with an additional $30,000 to get a commercial grade product, the stone finish. So that was within the approved budget. That was what the approved budget going forward a few weeks ago was $98,000. Once we started to tear off, we decided to start where there was no issue. The first hammer in the wall, the entire wall came off. There was no structure left in that area that we assumed there was no damage, water damage. It has since been discovered there's 99% of underneath the windows needs to be replaced. So what they did was they took their scope of their original bid, which they were by far the lowest bid in the original process, and they just allocated the square footage. They increased. They didn't increase the rate. They just the amount of square footage they were priced in. They just increased what the amount would be for the additional square footage for the replacement. The largest cost is when we start to get into the root cause is the seals on the windows. We looked at varying options. One was, do we replace the windows? We're looking at $1 million to replace windows. Whereas they've priced in roughly $45,000 to reglaze the windows and redo the seals. And it's the seals that have failed in the frames that has caused water infiltration. That's probably 80% of what the cause is. The other 20% is the siding that is on the clad has a lot of cracking already, and the gaskets are already shifting, and there's water infiltration there. So there's an additional cost in there to replace the clad around the building while we're doing all this work. The end goal is to make sure that the first floor of this building is completely sealed and ready and be able to last 30, 40, 50 years. I just do want to make mention that there is a second tier in this building that is not included in this scope, which will come forth in 2027 to do more work on those upper tier windows and the little bit of siding work up there. But that's not included in the scope. It never was, and I didn't want to include that as well. But that will be further budgeted for that and have a nice tight seal, hopefully. So.
Yeah, so I'll also let the acting CEO speak to this matter as well.
The only thing I would add is that if council is not supportive of the sole source, it means we have to go out for a full procurement process, which means that we would need to retender and we would lose a whole significant amount of time in terms of continuity on the project and getting the building sealed up. And we would also need to look at a special meeting date for an award of a tender. So we would lose probably at least a month's time.
So I was going to actually say that when staff and I were going over this, I too had an issue with sole sourcing. But based on the comments that Jonathan has just made in regards to sticking with the quote at the square footage price, which what they had quoted for the ones that were known to be failing, and then coming to find out that as they did the work to do the replacement, that all the rest of it was found to be rotted. To try to find a contractor that hasn't committed themselves already before the end of the year, the major thing. Plus, based on the quality of work, because I believe they've also done other work for the municipality in other smaller projects. They are vetted. It isn't something that we would ever want to make best practice of. This is not what we would do, but the fact that staff are recommending this mainly because we need to get the building shored up. And, you know, as Deputy Mayor said, the gift that keeps on giving. We are burdened with this, and I say we as in taxpayers, not council, and we as council are burdened with maintaining the building. The one thing that I do know is true, Mr. Robertson, is that if you put anything off, it certainly never gets cheaper. So it's very random and very rare that it does get cheaper. So the recommendation that is being made by staff has fairly good rationale, but I'm happy to, sorry, Councillor Maybe had questions as well. So is there anybody else that wants to be on the list? Oh, you can follow up and then, sure.
I apologize. One follow-up, if I may. Your reference to cladding being replaced, sorry, just so I'm make sure I'm clear on that. Is that the stone portion just at the bottom? It's not the siding that is sort of at the level of the windows, in between the windows or anything. It's just the stone bottom, correct?
Thank you. And through you, the stone has already been purchased. That was part of their deposit process. But the cladding is the remaining brown paneling that is also compromised. Once we got the walls up in between. So the entire, that's like a major portion of the increased cost is the material cost for a new siding. Essentially, it'll be a metal siding similar to what's on the new fire station bays at Fire Station 2.
Okay.
It would be a metal.
Thanks for the clarification.
Okay. Councillor, maybe go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. My question starts back with when it was taken apart, was there any membrane on the building that actually protected it from the water penetration?
Thank you, and through you. Underneath the cladding, no, that was original. It was wire meshed and installed over top of OSB. I think it was 2018 was when this last cladding was put on, and there's blue skin underneath that. Has prevented any further water loss, but there is still water penetration through that existing product.
So the proper membrane wasn't put on the building in the start to actually minimize the water penetration. In one of the pictures also, I seen the backside of the drywall. Is there vapor barrier there? I couldn't really tell in the picture.
Yes, there is vapor barrier there. That has saved us a lot of headaches, is why it's not showing on this side. essentially the outer 40% of most of the 2x6 studs are non-existent.
Yeah.
And the OSB is gone
Yeah.
for majority of it.
So we're going away from OSB to a better product, number one there.
For the installation purposes of the new product, we are required to have a plywood as well, and we're going with a pressure treated unit, plus the proper membranes and flashings and overlaps.
Yeah. So everything's going to be
Up to code.
tightly sealed and with the steel, with the cladding in brown, and indicate that it will last 60 years-ish, perhaps.
Well, considering we're only
Yeah, it's
15, 20 years in
Yeah.
here.
yeah.
Go ahead. I'll go back to Deputy Mayor Bodie.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. At the risk of stepping on my own tongue, I just want to say for those who maybe haven't lived here a long time or are not familiar with the building, when this building was built, there was one goal in mind, and that was to stay on budget. If you were to go to an engineering firm by name of Greer Galloway in Kingston, they have a 2.5-inch file of all the changes that were made and signed off on from the time this building started till it was finished. And it is absolutely mind-boggling, some of the changes that were made in that building. And we get to reap the benefits from there forward. So let this be a very good lesson for all those who thought that the fire hall was expensive out in last year. It was done right. And it'll be there long after this building is tore down.
Well, we gotta get through a few more years here, Terry. Don't. Yeah. So oh, sorry, Councillor Kelman.
No problem. Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Just a quick question. Do we have, were we given any timeline with the increase in the scope of the work to be done?
Thank you, and through you. We're just waiting for approval to be able to place the order on the new material. They have the lead time for that, I don't know, but they are able to return within a week to continue the work that needs to be approved for structural. There's going to be phases of work because we don't want to displace all staff at once as well. So it will be staged work to get the framing replaced, the electrical reset, and then the preparation for the new siding, and then the new siding, and it can be done in phases. So there shouldn't be too much of a holdup of progress of work. It's just when we're waiting for lead time for certain materials, other work can be completed.
Okay. Okay. So the motion that's on the floor is to add the funds for unforeseen repairs into the total of $275,070.51. We've talked about the fact that this is sole sourcing and our concerns about that. However, I believe that staff have answered the questions as to why this would be, why it's being considered as a sole source. Due to timing and obviously costing, because if we had to go out to tender on this, it would be, who knows, whether we could even get it done this year, mainly because contractors have usually built out their schedules. But anyway, nonetheless, any further comments or questions on this motion? Go ahead, Councillor.
At the risk of asking a question I think I already know the answer to, it goes sorry, apologize. There are no warranties. There are no avenues to go back against somebody who would put OSB on without any proper moisture barriers, et cetera. Like there's not even an L drip on the.
Go ahead.
The answer lies with Greer Galloway. That's why they have you sign off to any documented changes you're making from the original plan for the building. So there'd be no warranty is what I'm saying.
Okay. But as I said, at the risk of asking a question I knew the answer to. Thank you.
Sometimes they just need to be asked, so it's never a bad question. Oh, sorry, Councillor Antoine Hartley.
Through you, Mayor. I guess maybe I just want to say that this is indeed disappointing in all levels, but we're committed now. We have no choice at this point because we've got a building that's torn apart and we need to have it buttoned up for winter and we can't be waiting. So
Okay, I'm going to call the question on that comment. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it's carried. Thank you, folks. And it's very good discussion. Thank you to the staff who I know that this has not been a fun report to write either and bring forward for that matter. So the next motion on the floor is the naming policy, and Councillor Leclerc has dropped off the call. So Councillor Kelman, would you be willing to make this motion about the naming policy?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and seconded by Councillor Robertson, that council directs staff to prepare a naming policy regarding memorial and commemorative benches, trees, etc., for consideration at the September Committee of the Whole Committee of the Whole meeting. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And we're carried. And I thank Councillor Leclerc for bringing this forward, even though it was Councillor Kelman who ended up making the motion in the end. Next item is in regards to the support for upgrades of Grays Beach, moved by Councillor Robertson, seconded by Councillor Kelman. Council directs staff to work with the Gannon Rockaway Rotary Club to prepare a letter of support for upgrades of Grays Beach Parquet and forward the letter to St. Lawrence Parks Commission. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. Next item is cross cemetery encroachment agreement and grant funding exemption, moved by Councillor Maybe. Would you be willing to move that? Yes. Okay, Councillor Robertson is seconding that council directs staff to work with members of the Cross Cemetery Board to bring forward an encroachment agreement to council for consideration with respect to a ramp to be located on the township road allowance, and that the council directs staff to consider an exception to the cemetery grant policy to allow for funding to be made available in the 2026 and the 2027 cemetery grants to help facilitate the construction of an accessible ramp from the township road to the Cross Cemetery entrance. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it's carried. Okay, next item, staff reports for information, fire services 6-month review and the Q2 operating capital status at June 30th. So are there any comments or questions in regards to the 14.1 fire services 6-month review? Go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, mainly to the chief. So 195 calls, and I know that's increased since you even wrote this. How many of those were actually boat use?
Through your worship, I think we are currently at about 15 calls for the water, maybe 15 to 20.
Yeah, now's the back or St. Lawrence?
Definitely more the St. Lawrence.
Okay.
I think we've had 3 calls on the lakes since, but it's definitely the St. Lawrence.
And again, great job by the fire department. Please pass it on. They were here earlier and the mayor said that, but again, thank you.
No problem.
Any other comments in regards to 14.1 or 14.2? Go ahead, Councillor Robertson.
Through you, Mayor, just a comment around I noticed the solicitor expenses are at 100% already of expected or anticipated expenditure moving forward. So wondered if there are any mitigation strategies that are possible. Again, playing a little bit of never been down this road before, but it seems we're at the end of or moving towards the end of July, and we've got a long road ahead of us for the rest of the year.
Oh, Phil's got it. Sorry, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor. So not speaking specifically to solicitor expenses, but in general in operating, we do look to other budget lines where we can save. Specifically in that department, we are currently under in another area related to staffing due to a temporary vacancy at this point. So that would offset and buffer against that. But yeah, in operating, it was kind of earlier in the meeting when you're speaking to the private road grants, we do look to other areas where we can save, being mindful if this area is over. Solicitor is always one of those things where when we set the budget, we look at 4-year averages and if there's things kind of on the go, and that is one that sometimes you get hit with unforeseen solicitor expenses that we didn't necessarily anticipate. So yes, we are mindful in other areas.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll move forward with information items. And there are none. Announcements and statements from councillors. Go ahead, Councillor Kelman.
Thank you, Worship, and through you. I just wanted to note for members of council and anyone in the public that the Charleston Lake Association AGM is Saturday, July 25th at 9:30. They always have it at Holy Trinity Church, just off Lower Oakleaf Road. It's always very well attended. They always have very good speakers. I was told that this year one of the speakers is going to talk about ticks, which is an increasingly huge problem in this area. They always have great speakers. I would encourage anyone, even if they don't have property on Charleston, if they don't have waterfront property, it always pertains to issues that affect our whole township, and it's always a really good, quite not overly long meeting. So I'd encourage everyone to attend if they're interested. Thank you.
I learned more about bass nests and stuff than I've ever thought I would ever know. It is very, I've been very enthralled with some of their speakers, so I would agree. I have Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just to kind of go back to what I had said last week too, is volunteer due is coming this week, and the Bark Bash July 25th, La Festivals the 30th of July, Bracebridge possibly, and the AMO that will be attending on the 16th and 19th, and then we'll be into September activities again.
Stop talking. You're rushing the summer. Go ahead, Councillor Antoine Hartley. Is your microphone on?
On June 19th, I attended the Rideau Corridor Landscape Strategy working group, and it was very interesting. I thought we were going to talk about trees, trees and shrubs and stuff along the water, but no, that wasn't what it was. Anyways, I will have a further report at another time on that. But just to let you know that this is in May of 1832, the Rideau Canal opened for the first time. And so our celebration is coming up in 2032, and that we have just a little chunk of the Rideau Canal. We don't have as many, a lock, but at least we're going to be, we have Sitley's Bay there that will be part of that celebration. Anyways, so 2027 to 2031 will be time to build awareness about the canal and all those things. And then in 2026, this year, will be the official launch in Ottawa, because that's where it was opened for the first time, was in Ottawa. So looking forward to that. And so if groups want to do legacy projects, it's time to start thinking what that might be.
It's good food for thought. Any other hands up? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Fody.
Excuse me. Thank you, Worship, through you. I'm sure you're going to touch on Lansdowne Fair, so I'll leave that for you. You had mentioned the Charleston Lake Association. It's unfortunate they can't separate the meeting this coming Saturday on the very same time and date is the Thousand Islands Association.
Oh, no, it's 2 weeks from now.
Oh,
It's
the
not
Thousand
this
Islands,
Saturday.
2 weeks?
No, Thousand Islands is this weekend. Charleston Lake is in 2 weeks.
Oh, I stand corrected. Okay, that's even better then. Okay, so I'll just go ahead with plugging the Thousand Islands Association annual breakfast. It's well attended. I believe it starts at 9:30, right? Tickets are only available online. So if you haven't got a ticket, you have to go online to get one. What I did want to ask, a couple of little highlights. What's the status? Maybe Jonathan could answer this. What's the status of Escott Hall? Is it finished or where are we?
Thank you, and through you. We are getting close. Building was out last Friday with myself to do a pre-close walkthrough to see if there was any issues outstanding outside of what we know. We have a few things to wrap up with the HVAC system, and then we're ready for there's a few other minor deficiencies. The builder is going to walk through with us as well this coming Friday. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we're going to be moving in and planning our grand opening.
Okay. My other question is for you, Your Worship, the George Tackaberry home. your favorite subject, I'm sure.
Well, it's becoming my favorite subject actually because we are very, very close. So we had our inspection from the ministry on the 16th, the virtual tour. They came out. I must commend the ministry that they came out very quickly to do the on-site. So the step is to do the virtual tour. Once we pass the prelim virtual tour, then they send their folks out. And they were there for the full week. And we went through every nook and cranny, every towel warmer, every latch, it is a very invasive process. But I must commend the staff. They were ready for it. Many other long-term care homes the ministry leaves and they get reams of deficiencies. We had 1 page and 8 deficiencies to deal with. So without jinxing myself, there were a couple of things that there's a couple of windows that were needing to be dealt with, which were special orders. So they're coming, but it's imminent. So as long as we get those deficiencies, the ministry doesn't even have to come back out to inspect. So we're just waiting for those finalized things, like they're minor electrical issues that were found or whatever on wrong switches on wrong lights type thing. Those sorts of things. And you have to keep a long-term care home at 22 degrees. I would have a heat stroke. Anyways, but those are the types of things that they look for, is constant temperature, being able to hold things, and yeah. So I'm hoping that we will have an announcement in very near future. They left the home on the 25th. We had our report the following Tuesday. It was done. I must say that the long-term care folks are on it. Which is great because we've heard other horror stories from other long-term care homes who've been prevented from opening for a lot of deficiencies. So everybody touch wood, everybody keep your fingers crossed. We're going to have a date here very shortly to move in our first folk that will.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for asking the question. Any other questions or comments? Sorry, any other comments or statements from council? Seeing none, candidate packages for mayor, council, school board trustee are available to download on the elections page. Nomination period closes at 2 p.m. on August 21st. We hosted the annual OLG Community Partner Recognition Program last week at the Rockport Barn on July the 9th. Thank you to all the members of council who were able to attend, along with the Town of Gananoque, Shorelines Casino, and many other community organizations who received funding were all recognized. So it was always a great event. It was unfortunate that the heat wave with the rain put us inside because it really is such a beautiful spot. TLTI was one of several recipients for the Ontario Seniors Community Grant Program Feed Your Mind series for Lunch and Learns, which will take place throughout the township between now and March 2027. Staff are seeking interested volunteers to become involved in the program. Interested individuals are asked to contact Tracy Holland here at the township office. This is our last council meeting until September 8th. We do have AMO that's coming up in August, so there are a few members of council that are attending. The township office and waste disposal sites will be closed on August 13th between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. And I know this seems like a long way away, but as Councillor Maybe has already indicated, the summer is quickly getting away from us. That is a staff appreciation event. So 12 p.m., 2 p.m. on 2 p.m. on August the 13th. All township facilities will be closed for that period of time so we can recognize our summer students and some of our other members of staff with a barbecue. Lansdowne Fair is this weekend, starts Thursday the 16th and goes till Sunday. Full slate of events online. Canada Day fireworks in Sealy's Bay are happening on August the 1st. Thanks to event volunteers for committing to make sure that happens for the community. And the next Music on the River event is set for Wednesday, July 15th at the Rockport Custom Stop. Music gets underway at 6:30 p.m. with Tim Hammond Band. So I think that's basically events coming up. Thank you for reminding Charleston Lake and Thousand Islands Association. And I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the summer. Maybe our staff might be able to get some holidays in as well, because that's always timing around meetings. With that, we'll go through, there is no closed session, so we'll go to bylaws. Motion comes from Councillor Robertson, seconded by Councillor Kelman, that third reading and final passage be granted to bylaws 2026-034 through to 038. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. Next motion moved by Councillor Robertson, seconded by Councillor Kelman. Three readings and final passage be granted to bylaw 2026-039, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Corporation of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands at its July 13th, 2026 council meeting. All in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. Moved by Councillor Robertson, seconded by Councillor Kelman, that council adjourn at 8:20 p.m. Thanks for powering through, folks. All those in favor? Any opposed? And we're carried and adjourned for the summer. Thanks, everyone.